This is Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.
Greetings viewers, you're watching Pulse of Africa. I am Tinsei Gabriel bringing you today's latest news. First, here are our top stories. AU urges adoption of world map showing continent's true size. African leaders endorse Eastern DR Congo peace process. Kenya unveils frameworks to accelerate digital health rollout. Now, the news in detail. The African Union is backing a campaign to replace the 16th century Mercator world map with one that more accurately shows Africa's size. The Mercator projection, originally created for navigation, makes countries near the poles like North America and Greenland look much larger than they are, while making Africa and South America appear smaller. Salma Malika Hadidi, deputy chairperson of the AU Commission, told Reuters that while it might seem like just a map, the Mercator projection creates a false impression of Africa as marginal. She pointed out that Africa is the world's second largest continent with 54 countries and more than 1 billion people, and that these kinds of misrepresentations can influence media, education, and policy. The Correct the Map campaign, led by advocacy groups Africa No Filter and Speak Up Africa, is pushing for organizations to adopt the Equal Earth projection, a map that tries to show the true sizes of countries. Africa leaders have endorsed a peace process to end the conflict in Eastern DR Congo. Botswana's former president, Mcgusky Masisi, was appointed to a panel of facilitators for inclusive dialogue. The decision followed a joint Eastern Africa Community and Southern African Development Community virtual summit co-chaired by Kenyan President William Ruto and Zimbabwean President Emerson Mnangagwa. The African Union Commission will coordinate resources and lead the implementation. The summit also praised DR Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi and Rwanda's President Paul Kagame for committing to dialogue over the M23 rebel conflict. Turkey and Botswana reaffirmed strong bilateral ties based on mutual respect and a win-win principle, said Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan after meeting Botswana's Foreign Minister Fenyo Butale in Ankara. They signed new cooperation deals and planned further collaboration in trade, defense, education, and infrastructure. Turkey pledged support for Botswana's embassy opening and emphasized expanding ties through next year's Turkey-Africa Partnership Summit. Fidan highlighted Turkey's growing presence in Africa, with embassies in 44 countries and trade rising from $4.3 billion in 2002 and $36.3 billion in 2024. Botswana's Foreign Minister Fenyo Butale emphasized that cooperation in Africa is being developed on the basis of the win-win principle. Kenya has launched a 5-year digital health agency strategic plan and a certification framework for digitization to fast-track nationwide digital health adoption. Announced by Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale at the Devolution Conference, the framework aims to improve healthcare access, transparency, equity, and efficiency, especially for vulnerable groups. Duale emphasized the need for strong legal backing and political support to ensure success, noting Kenya's potential to set a model for Africa in digital health. Director General for Health, Patrick Amoth, said 50% of Kenya health facilities are already digitized, with full national coverage targeted by the end of the year. In other news, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan spoke by phone with NATO Security General Mark Rutte. The call, held at Rutte's request, addressed the latest developments in the Ukraine-Russian war, as well as regional and global matters. Drawing attention to the progress made in Istanbul, negotiations launched with the aim of achieving a permanent ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia. President Erdogan added that it is important for this process to yield positive developments in humanitarian issues as well. NATO Security General Rutte, for his part, made assessments regarding the latest situation in Ukraine ahead of the upcoming Alaska summit between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. Global negotiations on a treaty to tackle plastic pollution ended in Geneva on Friday without a deal. After 11 days of talks at the UN, delegates remained deadlocked over key issues, including whether to limit plastic production and impose legally binding controls on toxic chemicals used in plastics. This round was intended to finalize the world's first legally binding plastic pollution treaty, but like last year's talks in South Korea, negotiations collapsed without an agreement.
The story of resurgent Ethiopia and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. All the time, Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.
Now to business news. The Bank of Ghana is pushing to expand local gold refining to boost export revenue and position Ghana as a gold refining hub in West Africa. First Deputy Governor Dr. Zakari Mumuni highlighted the plan at the 2025 Ghana International Bank Coverage Conference in London, noting that most of Ghana's gold is currently exported raw. The initiative aligns with gold-backed policies like the Domestic Gold Purchase Program, which has raised reserves from 8.7 to 33 tons since 2021. Local refining is expected to increase earnings, improve transparency, and strengthen Ghana's role in the global bullion trade. Finally, Saudi Aramco has signed an $11 billion lease and leaseback deal for its Jafurah gas assets with an international investor consortium led by Global Infrastructure Partners, part of BlackRock. The agreement involves a 20-year lease of key gas processing facilities to a new entity, Jafurah Midstream Gas Company, which will be 51% owned by Aramco and 49% by investors. The deal supports Aramco's plan to boost gas production by 60% by 2030 and bring significant foreign investment to Saudi Arabia's energy sector. Jafurah is a key component in Aramco's plan to increase gas production capacity by 60% between 2021 and 2030 to meet rising demand. Before we close, here's a quick look at the latest global commodities price updates. Next, let's take a look at the current weather forecast. That's all from Pulse of Africa today. Thank you for being with us.
This is Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.